Do you hear that? It's the baby's heartbeat, just 3 short weeks after conception. According to all.org, there are roughly 3,000 abortions performed each day in the United States. That means that there are about 150 abortions performed an hour. Do you realize that another baby was just killed because we've been sitting in this room for about 30 seconds now? If you think about it, 16 babies will be killed in the 8 minutes you'll be sitting here listening to my speech. I asked my audience if they knew how many abortions are performed each year. All 3 people answered no. I personally have never been put in the situation of considering an abortion. However, I have had friends that have been in the situation and did a substantial amount of research following that. I've also read several abortion stories to inform myself better because I feel so strongly about the topic, which makes me credible to speak about it. In my speech today, I want to discuss abortion and why it should be illegal. In this speech, I'll be talking about the abortion procedure, legal and illegal abortions, special circumstance abortions, and alternative options to abortion. First, I'll explain the different processes of abortion. There are 6 primary abortion methods. According to ProChoice.com, the first type of abortion is called a suction abortion. This is the most common abortion technique in use today. In this procedure, a suction tube is inserted into the womb, where a powerful vacuum tears the placenta from the uterus, and it dismembers the body of the developing child, sucking the pieces into an attached jar. The next method is called a D&C abortion, which is also known as a dilation and curettage abortion. The D&C abortion is usually performed between 7 and 12 weeks of pregnancy. The doctor inserts a loop-shaped steel knife into the womb through a dilated cervix. The knife scrapes the wall of the uterus as the baby is cut into pieces. Bleeding can be considerable. As with a suction abortion, there is a high risk of infection or hemorrhage, so the abortionist must reassemble the body parts to make sure that the uterus is fully empty. The third method is known as a D&E, also known as a dilation and evacuation abortion. This method is similar to a D&C, except for the forceps must be used to grasp the baby's body because the child is in advanced development. The baby is dismembered as the abortionist twists and tears the body parts out of the mother and slices the placenta away from the uterus. In this process, there is an extreme amount of bleeding. The next process is known as the salt poisoning. This is the second most common method of inducing abortion and is usually used after 16 weeks of pregnancy. The doctor inserts a long needle into the mother's abdomen and injects a saline solution into the sac of the amniotic fluid surrounding the baby. The baby is poisoned by swallowing the salt and its skin is completely burned away. It takes about an hour to kill the baby. The second to last form we'll discuss is most often performed in late-term pregnancies and is also known as a hysterotomy. A hysterotomy abortion is similar to a C-section where the baby is removed from an incision made into the mother's abdomen into the womb. This is a surgical procedure whereby the baby is removed from the mother's womb and is allowed to die by neglect or killed directly after. This procedure often ends up with several live babies. The last form of abortion I will describe is one which produces a very high number of live births. This method is called a prostaglandin abortion. Prostaglandin is actually a chemical hormone which induces violent labor and premature birth when injected into the amniotic sac. Since prostaglandin results in an unusually high percentage of live births, salt or other toxins are often injected first to kill the baby. The abortion process is very gruesome, but it gets worse. We're now going to look behind the scenes of legal and illegal abortion. Abortion has been legal in the United States since 1972 after the famous Roe v. Wade case. Roe made it possible for women to terminate their pregnancies for any reason within a certain gestational time limits. Most states refuse to perform abortions after a baby is to a certain point in the gestation period. This is usually decided by determining if the baby can survive outside of the womb. States usually refuse to perform abortions on any baby that's over 24 weeks. 24 weeks, however, is actually quite long to terminate a baby. At 21 weeks in a pregnancy, the baby is fully moving with its features developed and you can actually tell the gender. Almost every state has banned partial birth abortions, which are abortions that a baby is taken out alive and left to die after that. This probably seems not too extreme because there are laws restricting abortions in states. However, most doctors that are willing to perform an abortion at all are also willing to claim a baby is not as far along as it actually is and perform an abortion anyway. I've read countless stories about abortion doctors and assistants that watched the bits and pieces of babies go out the door and thrown away in the trash like it's nothing. There are many cases of people who have dealt with abortions on a daily basis who just couldn't take it anymore and had to quit their jobs. There are even several women that I've read about that were on the verge of suicide because of their job. A medical assistant I remember specifically described her daily experience as an abortion assistant until one day a woman came in, the doctor lied about how far along she was, and he performed the abortion anyway when he was not supposed to. He handed the baby girl at about 30 weeks crying to the nurse and instructed her to leave the baby in a room and wait until it passes and then properly dispose of it. This is sadly something that happens every day, all the time. As you've learned, abortions are legal and have laws against them. They are also lied about and performed past the term that they are supposed to be performed at every day. We will now discuss the topic that leads many people to believe that abortion is acceptable, special circumstance abortion. Special circumstance abortion is often the cause of the great debate. Should abortion be legal under a special circumstance? I asked my audience if they think abortion should be legal, and if so, to what extent. Every respondent answered that in their opinion, abortion should not be legal whatsoever. Looking deeper into the definition of special circumstance abortion, I'm referring to abortions performed if a pregnancy is a result of rape or incest. Did you know that according to RAINN.org, each year there are about 300,000 reported sexual assault cases? It has been proven time and time again that rape can cause major psychological issues in people. According to rapecrisis.org, many rape victims can experience something called rape trauma, which can get even worse if the rape results in a pregnancy. Oftentimes, women will choose to abort a pregnancy when it is the result of a rape because they'll think they'll not be able to love the child. Instead of abortion for rape victims, there's alternative options, for example, an abortion pill, or even allowing a very early abortion when the baby's not very developed. Although abortion is in and of itself a controversial, so is limited circumstantial abortion, it is now time to explore some alternatives to abortion. There are many alternative solutions to getting an abortion. According to birthmother.org, there are good resources to things such as foster care when you're not ready to have a child. The first alternative option would be adoption. As stated by lifenews.com, there are 36 couples waiting to adopt per every one baby adopted out. ASRM.org stated that 1.5 million women in the U.S. are infertile. Adoption is a great idea because it's not only saving a life, but it's also bringing great joy to a family that cannot have a baby. Another option besides getting an abortion is, in early enough pregnancy, taking a pill with hormones to end a pregnancy. This option is less hard on everyone involved. The last option I'll discuss as an alternative option to abortion is simply one using a form of protection such as birth control or condoms to avoid pregnancy, or a surefire way is abstinence. Many of the alternative options instead of getting an abortion people don't seem to like as much. Sometimes they just want it to be over with right then and there. I've explained several things that are important to take into consideration if you're pro-abortion. Let's recap what we've learned. Too many abortions are performed each year in the United States. We learned that there are about 3,000 abortions performed each day, and that people don't really think that should be happening. We also went behind the scenes of legal and illegal abortions, how abortions are performed, special circumstance abortion, as well as alternatives to abortion. I hope after listening to this speech, you're better informed about abortion and alternative options. And if you're ever put in the situation to have an abortion or know someone that is in the situation, you'll think twice about it before committing.